Hello, hello, welcome to DynaMarisa. This isn't going to be a speedrun attempt, per se. This is more tutorials on the speedrun in and of itself. For the first mission, the very first thing you need to do, swap to your spear gun, your sniper rifle, and just start picking these things off. If they get close, swap to your shotgun and shoot them. There's two waves of enemies. The second wave is going to spawn pretty far back. So, make sure you have some shots on your red spear and just start picking them off again. They're going to be coming towards you at the same time as you're heading towards them. So odds are pretty good you're going to have them within shotgun range. If they drop hats, you're going to want to pick them up. If they drop weapon boxes, pick them up. Especially for the first couple of missions, you want as many weapons as you can find. There's all of 3 weapons in particular you're looking for, with 2 potential backup weapons in case 2 of them don't show up. As we find the weapons, I'll go over what it is we're looking for and why. The Punisher 15 is one of these weapons. I am surprised it dropped this early. I've never seen it drop this early, but as I understand the weapon drop mechanic, any weapon that can drop on a given difficulty, different difficulty levels have their own weapon list that can drop. As long as you're on that difficulty, you have an equal chance of any weapon in that list to drop on any stage. Obviously, the more weapon box drops you get, the more weapons you're going to have a chance to look through to acquire. Punisher 15. Why are we looking for it? It is a straight-up upgrade to the Punisher 10. It fires 5 more shots than the Punisher 10. That is pretty much the only difference. But the 5 extra shots, that's 100 extra damage that's coming through. It's also a lot more shots that are going out, which means you're going to be hitting things more often, especially if you're shooting them at flying enemies. We'll get to them eventually. So, grab a Punisher 15. Why is this one blue? Because it has a modifier. Any weapon that's in white, let's say we got 3 Shine RF1s that were all white. They're going to be completely identical to each other. They're going to have the same powers, same magazine size, same firing rate, same everything. Blue-colored weapons have a modifier on them. 9 times out of 10, a modified weapon is going to be better than a non-modified weapon. 9 times out of 10. That 1 out of 10 time, the modifier is not going to do jack diddly. But generally, if it's got a modifier, it's going to be better. Rate of fire up, it fires faster. That's not too bad. There is a modifier that we're going to want to look for. Right-click to exit out of the weapon select screen, by the way. There is a particular weapon that we're going to want to look for, a particular modifier that we're going to want to look for, honestly, either the sniping rifle or the shotgun, preferably on the shotgun. If we find it, I'll explain it then. No, I'm going to explain it now. One of the modifiers that you can find is piercing bullets. Piercing bullets causes a bullet to do all of its damage to the enemy it hits, and then continue on and do all of its damage to an enemy behind it. For a shotgun, this is absolutely wonderful because you are going to be doing a ton of damage. It literally doubles your damage output. You're going to be hitting whatever's in front for a lot of damage, and then all those bullets are going to continue on to hit something behind it for a lot of damage. If they're stacked up, you're going to hit both of them for a lot of damage. If you kill the enemies, you're going to have bullets continue on to the 2 or 3 enemies behind them. It is fantastic. If you find a piercing bullet shotgun, you've got a good run. End of story. There is another modifier to keep an eye out for, specifically for the shotgun, or for the other weapon, whenever we find it, called vampirism. It cuts your health in half, so it's going to make things a little scary. But, as you hit things with the gun, your health will recover. For a couple of stages in particular, this makes the stage significantly safer, because that is going to be your main method of healing on those stages, if you get one. There's a lot of, if we're talking about weapons, if you get it. Stage 2. First thing to do, break them all! It's a thing. Enemies are going to be spawning way in the back. Start firing at them. There's going to be some travel time. You've got some time for your bullet to get over that. We are not stopping to really pick up anything or to defeat the enemies. Thankfully, you do have some allies that are doing a pretty good job. But what we are trying to do is get within range of the next wave of enemies. They actually spawn in 2 locations, underneath either side of the stairs. There is a little bit of conversation that has to happen before the second wave starts, which you probably noticed. If you're having a little bit of trouble, you're running a little slow on the defeating of the first wave, that dialogue can happen, and then as soon as the last enemy is defeated, the next wave spawns in. So there's actually quite a bit of time available to you in this stage. The end of this stage is also on a conversation trigger. In all, there's 4 specific conversations that have to happen. It starts with break 'em all. Then there's the conversation about food that has to happen. The next wave of enemies shows up. Sometime in the middle of there, Marisa is asked why she's using the guns. That conversation also has to happen. It is possible to defeat the second wave before that conversation starts. The last conversation, it begins when you defeat the last enemy. After that conversation ends, congratulations, you've beaten the stage. You've got plenty of time to run around, pick up items. If there's no items you need to pick up, you can run around and do whatever you want. You got time. It's actually hard to lose time on this stage. I take that back. It's hard to gain time on mission 2 because of those dialogue, those conversations that have to happen. But if you've finished an enemy and the next conversation immediately begins, you've probably lost a little bit of time in there. We're at the weapon screen. We've got another red spear. This one's golden or yellow. This means it has 2 modifiers. Yay! We're not particularly interested in, well, It's got power up at 1 ammo. The last shot it fires is going to be more powerful. How much more powerful? I don't know. I've never actually calculated it. I'm not even sure how I would calculate it. We'll grab it just for the heck of it. Cranberry 1. I'll pick it up and show it off in kind of a weapon showcase at the end of the tutorial. Just to show off weapons. If anybody has any questions, any ideas, feel free to mention them. Mission 3. Library Invasion. At the start of this mission, roll. And then immediately run to underneath one of the UFOs. Which one doesn't really matter. I've just gotten in the habit of running over to this one. Most missions are on a defeat all of the enemies system. Once you've defeated all the enemies, the stage is over. Congratulations, you win. That makes up the vast majority of missions in this game. Mission 3 is one of the kind of exceptions. So, what Mission 3 is doing is it's introducing the concept of the spawners, which are the UFOs up there. In order to finish this mission, you have to defeat enough of the first wave of enemies that the conversation, "I see you're trying hard," pops up, and more enemies spawn in. At which point, once the second wave of enemies spawn in, you're pretty much on a timer. As long as you don't die, the mission's over. There is a dialogue, a conversation that has to happen. So once you see, right here is the first line in that conversation, where Marisa says, "This is hopeless." Once that pops up, you're on it. You know you're on the ending timer. As soon as this conversation finishes, mission complete. Congratulations. Run around, grab what you can. If you defeat all the enemies by the mission complete, congratulations, you did it quick. A note about shotguns: they are not all created equal. And I will show this off. I'll show off the what I'm talking about with the Executioner 5. It is a shotgun. Kind of. And since we're going into since we're showing off weapons, I might as well show off the cranberry. So with the Punisher, we get that nice big spread of knives. All the shotguns shoot knives. The Executioner, on the other hand, it only fires 5 bullets. Flat. It fires them in a very wide, flat arc. For fighting enemies on the ground, it's not too bad. Unfortunately, a good majority of the enemies that you will be fighting are not simply on the ground. In fact, I can show this off in Mission 4. There are flying enemies. And having a gun that fires out in a flat, on a flat plane isn't really the best for dealing with them. What do I mean by that? I barely even hit anything with that. Only if they get right next to you is this thing effective on the flying enemies. If they're on the ground, cool, it's great. If they're up on the walls, Hopefully they're not in a vertical position. Yes, enemies can climb the walls. They can also climb the ceilings. It's a little disorienting sometimes. So, the Executioner 5 as a shotgun, it's interesting. A lot of the weapons in this game are gimmicky, to say the least. So, Executioner 5, definitely very gimmicky. So, since I'm here, what about the Cranberry? Well, this one fires homing explosive bullets. Because they are explosive, they can also blow you up. So do be careful about enemies that decide to follow you. What enemy does it home in on? Whichever one it wants to. You can see it's got a pretty good home turning radius there. So it generally is going to hit whatever it is it's aiming at. You just don't really have any control over what it's aiming. Okay, so I've shown off those weapons. A note about the menu here. Resume. Continue the mission. Redeploy. Restart the current mission. Retreat. Go back to headquarters. Options. You've got options. Okay. And, yeah. Thank you everyone who came to the stream. Thank you anyone watching the individual level tutorials. And take care everyone.